The Roundtable podcast here at RHAP for Big Brother 26. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and we are here today, as always, to talk through the week of the feeds here on Big Brother 26. We're going to rate the players as well from 1 to 10 based on how well we think they're doing in the house. With me to talk through it all is Melissa. How you doing, Melissa?
I'm doing great. I'm very excited to be back and to talk Big Brother. It has been certainly a week. I really wasn't expecting all of this to happen during this week, so it's very exciting, and I'm excited to get into it.
All right. Well, also joining us is Aysha. How you doing, Aysha?
Hello, I am excited to be here for my first roundtable of the season. I'm ready to give out some 10s tonight.
All 10s.
Just kidding, all 10s. Yeah, if any cast deserves all 10s,
right? Exactly. That was what I was thinking too. So we can just skip the ratings. We're all giving 10s. It's all done.
We're gonna make it happen. Of course, you at home can rate these players as well. The survey is up over on Twitter. I posted the link. It is still up, and it will be for another roughly 15 minutes if you want to give your own opinion and have an influence over the ratings for the week. And what a week. What a week it was. Another week full of Tucker, full of chaos. Vote flip happened. I mean, listen, the last time we talked on the roundtable, it was an entirely different season.
Oh, for sure.
Cedric was still in the game. The Pentagon was running things. And you know, Tucker and Quinn were mortal enemies.
I really did not think Cedric was going home. Like, I really thought, like, we rated him like fairly low because we were saying like, well, you know, if he does go home, like he's the one who offered to be a pawn. So if he goes home, it's his fault. But like in my head, I was just like, there's no way he's going home. Like, I really didn't think T-Core and Kimo would actually flip. Like, I really didn't think that was like gonna happen. I thought it was like wishful thinking, and it was just kind of gonna go along like a normal week. So this was very, very exciting.
Let's just take a quick look at the ratings here from last week. That Cedric received a 3 from Melissa, a 4 from Mari, and a 4 from the audience. 4s on a week where he volunteered for the block and was sent home. Who's the other one with a 3?
Think he was gonna go.
Oh, that was Taran that went with a 2. What foresight from him.
I didn't think he was gonna go. I really didn't. I just thought like, there's no way. I was so shocked. I mean,
because it all depended on T-Core and Kimo, and it was like, when have they showed us that they had some action to back up any of the words that they were saying? So that was the biggest blindside, was the fact that they actually was like, okay, we're gonna do something.
Yeah, and like, I just have to say, like, and I know you guys already kind of briefly talked about this. I think it was like this morning. I think Kevin mentioned it, which was like, or maybe it wasn't. I don't remember. Everything is blending together to me right now. But you guys said that in the episode, like, what are the odds that it ends with like, maybe it was Grace. I don't remember. Somebody said it, but you said, what are the odds that the episode like literally ends with them being like, we did it, like we did this thing or whatever, like. It was just so perfect. It just seemed like it was scripted to have them sitting there alone and being like, we did it. And then the episode like ends. It was so well done. I loved it. Very exciting. Yeah. Great episode.
Quite the flip, of course. We talked about it last week, but Cedric was on the block against Rubina and MJ. And in the event that MJ won the AI arena, there was some possible flippage talk going on. Whether it was going to happen or not, of course, was back and forth. But at the last minute, it came through. MJ won that AI arena competition by fractions of a second. And Cedric was sent packing, upending the entire structure of the game, especially when Tucker then came out and won the wall HOH competition, becoming the new HOH. And he then took a strike right at the heart of the Pentagon, putting up Brooklyn and Cam alongside his rival Quinn. But with a little help from Joseph and some of the others in the alliance, Rubina, T-Core, and Kimo, he seems to have been successfully diverted away from Quinn, with tactics such as, he's worthless. He's not worth going after. He's terrible at this game. And And after Tucker then also won the veto competition, he used it on Quinn, surprising some of the house, including Quinn, and nominating Chelsie in Quinn's place, completing the full strike on the 3 remaining Pentagon members. We don't count Quinn, because let's be real, we shouldn't count Quinn. So now with Chelsie, Brooklyn, and Cam on the block, one of them will leave, but the question is which one? Tucker wants it to be either Brooklyn or Chelsie because he recognized they had a final 2. He sees them as the heads of the snake in different ways, and he wants to work with Cam if he can moving forward. However, T-Core and Kimo want both Brooklyn and Chelsie at this time to stay, and they'd prefer for Cam to leave. And we know how that goes. This is a similar spot that we were in last week, where they feel a little bit slighted by the fact that Tucker didn't listen to them and put up MJ like they wanted. They're feeling a little left out. They're feeling a little bit like, well, we don't want our people to leave, and they see their people as Chelsie and maybe even a little bit Brooklyn. And so the question then becomes, will they pull off another flip to take out Cam? Or are we in for a Chelsie or Brooklyn eviction? That's where we stand.
See, here's the thing. I think, this Tucker he's feeling himself. He has all the power. He can win whatever comp he just puts his little mind to. And because that's what's been happening, right? But then it's like you are putting your trust, Tucker is putting his trust in T-Core and Kimo, Kimo, he has, just like wrapped around his finger because Kimo's in love. But with T-Core, you can't even say her name right, and it's over a month into the game, like still saying to Core. That's not somebody that, you can fully like count on, because he doesn't realize this. He just sees it as like, oh yeah, I love her. She's great. But T-Core acknowledges that he can't even say her name right at this point. And so it's just like, what's keeping her loyal to Tucker at this point, besides making a big move last week to just shake up the house so they can get it how they want it? And so I think it's an interesting spot if Cam does end up winning. No, they want him. Yeah, if Cam ends up losing the AI arena, I think they very well could try to do the same thing.
Am I misremembering this, or wasn't Tucker in the beginning like saying that, like getting mad at Matt for saying T-Core's name wrong? Like, or he was gossiping about him, being like, you can't even say your name right.
Listen, Melissa, he's sleep deprived.
It's like, how does he now not know how to pronounce the name? I don't know. Very odd. But yeah, no, I really do. As much as I like Cam as a person, et cetera, he's a nice guy, whatever. I'd much prefer for him to go this week, because I want to see Brooklyn and Chelsie stick around. They're like a fun villain group that it's kind of like, I don't know. I like to see them there. I just feel like, what is Cam bringing? He doesn't seem to be in on it. Like, he just doesn't seem to really care like about the game all that much. I mean, maybe he does, but Brooklyn and Chelsie are way more exciting for the game. So I really hope that they stick around. I hope T-Core and Kimo can pull this off. Because, it would make for a much more exciting game to have Cam go home this week.
I mean, honestly, if you tell a casual, hey, can you watch the feeds for an hour? Just why you don't know, anything at this point. Tell me, like, let's say it was before Sunday. Tell me who's on the block. They would not be able to say that Cam was on the block, because it's just like nothing has changed. Nothing has changed for him. There's no panic, and it doesn't need to be panic. Chelsie is exhibit A of that. You don't need to panic like Brooklyn has. But I thought we would see a little bit more of a fight in Cam. And I'm afraid if he survives this week, he's just going to keep being an easy pawn, because if he doesn't win the AI arena, then it's like, okay, who can look at him as a comp threat? He's continuing to lose, or not win at least. And then it's just like, okay, well, then he's somebody, he didn't even get mad at Tucker. Then why not put him on the block?
Yeah. And I mean, I asked my mom before the podcast, like what her thoughts are on everyone right now. And I told her, like, cause she told me her thoughts. And then she asked me what I was thinking about this week. And I said, well, I hope Cam goes home. And she says, who's Cam? So she literally had no idea who Cam was. I had to explain to her who he was. And she loves Tucker. She's very into Tucker. My dad is more of a Quinn guy. So it's funny that there's like factions in like the casual audience, because I really expected everyone to kind of be all in on Tucker just with the way it was edited. But my dad likes Quinn. My mom likes Tucker. My dad does not like Angela. Like my mom made very clear to tell me that. But yeah, it's funny to hear like, I mean, I knew my mom would like Tucker. And then also I told her that I was just getting frustrated with just the fact that it seemed like everyone was competing for Tucker's attention right now. And I was just kind of irritated because it's like, maybe focus on the game. And she was like, I'm not seeing that at all. I know Rubina likes him, but I haven't seen anything about other people liking him. And I'm just like, oh, okay, well, we see it all day long. So it's not great. But yeah, I don't know. Like and so it like kind of like grosses me out a lot, like with the Leah and MJ thing where they're kind of like digging, like ribbing on each other a little bit to try and like seem like they're better in the eyes of Tucker, and then like trying to say that they're closer to Tucker than everyone else, or like trying to compete for who's closer to him. It just like, it's really just like, I really don't like it. It's like, come on, like stand up, women, please. Like please just stand up. Like it's just, I don't like it. It's gross.
I kid you not, today, I honestly don't know how long it was because I, like Tucker, fell asleep watching this, but Tucker was napping in the HOH room, and Leah and MJ just stayed and just talked to each other about God and various other things.
Oh my God.
He's snoring in the background.
Literally.
Oh God, that's just so embarrassing. I don't know. I just like
that's just common decency. If you're in someone's room and they fall asleep, you'd think you would leave.
You would think. Yeah, and then like MJ being like, "Oh no, Rubina, like they would have voted me out because I'm so close to Tucker." It's like, since when? It's so like, I just don't like it. I don't like it. It just like, it makes me think that everybody's just kind of gonna like go along with whatever he says, and because they care more about like their potential relationship with him than they do about the game itself. I just feel like MJ, I really honestly, I was excited for her when she won the AI arena, because I was like, okay, like this girl's alone, like I'd like to see what she could do, like let's get in there, whatever. And then like she's done absolutely nothing with it. And if anything, she was on the right side of the vote and now has totally just like given up any leverage or position that could have given her. And she doesn't seem to really understand like her place in the game at all. And it's just kind of like, okay, like
she may be aware of that, at least, because today she made a comment. She said, "Oh, I can't wait to watch this back and like just watch me do nothing." I don't know. Was that her or Leah? That. Yeah, they were talking to each other about the fact that they're going to watch this back and see that they did nothing. I'm like, you can change that. Like you're in there right now.
You literally can do something right now. Like you can do something right. Like recognize that and do something.
You're not back home watching this.
Yeah. It's not like you've been voted out and you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to watch it back now. It's like they're acting as if it's like there's nothing that they can do, but just do nothing.
It's out of their hands.
Well, the current power structure in the game has shifted from the Pentagon to what they call 6th Avenue, which is Tucker, Rubina, Tikor, Kimo, Angela, and Joseph, with some hangers-on like Quinn, Leah, and now even a little bit MJ, though those hangers-on are kind of, they're not the typical sort of like outlying members of a big alliance, in the sense that they're all kind of targeting each other to some degree. Like Quinn's kind of targeting MJ to some degree, and MJ's kind of targeting Quinn, and Leah might be targeting Quinn, despite the fact that Quinn now believes that Leah wasn't saying anything bad about him. And so there's a little bit of back and forth there. But who is truly left out on the outside of that, of course, are the remaining Pentagon members, Cam, Chelsie, and Brooklyn. And that's, that's not great for them. However, Tikor and Kimo are not satisfied with this power structure. They don't particularly like it. Tikor especially doesn't want to continue to work with Tucker long term. And Kimo, I think, like, agrees with her when they're talking. But who knows what he really thinks. And so what does that mean? Like, what kind of pieces do they want to pick up? Again, is it Brooklyn and Chelsie? Is it just Chelsie? Is it somebody else? Will they have to work with somebody like Quinn moving forward? That is the question. It is a very powerful block of people, but because of T-Core and Kimo's dissatisfaction, it's quite unstable, and that could really shake things up. Not only in the future, but as soon as this week. So, that's kind of where things stand. But then you have Tucker, who is at the center of this, and we have seen before that, like, a person who is willing to just say this exists and it's going to continue to exist can just force that reality into existence, especially if that person wins comps. And if Tucker just wants this to happen, it could just continue to happen. Nobody can really take a shot at Tucker until the AI competition goes away. And even if they do after that, or even if there are people that might want to after that, there are now people like Joseph who actively wants to go to the final two with Tucker. There are people like maybe Makensy and Leah who may not take that shot. People like Kimo who may or may not take that shot. And all of a sudden, if you start to see that, like, oh, will Rubina actually take that shot? A player like Tucker may only lose once or twice in the whole season. May only be vulnerable once or twice in the whole season. And if you don't take your shot when you have it, then it's over. And that might be where Tucker currently sits right now, given how many people are willing to give him that break, which is normally what you see happen, because it's like, how can you continually, in order to survive in this game, you need to appease your overlord Tucker, the guy who keeps winning all the comps. But at the same time, you need to secretly be plotting his demise. And that's a hard sell for a lot of players. Like, that's a hard thing to do, is to successfully play somebody that you actively intend on betraying as soon as possible, for a very long time. And so, it's a tricky spot that people are in.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. Like, is this like a Tucker missed? It's not in the same way as Dan's, because obviously he's doing wild things that no one can explain. I mean, I think what it boils down to is his charm. Maybe, like, if, let's say, he had zero charm, I think he wouldn't have all these people on his side.
Well, I think a lot about Michael, and how you had people like Monty who had been gunning for Michael all season. After Michael won comp after comp, even a guy like Monty, who was annoyed that he kept winning those competitions, frustrated, felt like he was impossible to beat, got to the point where he was like, you know what? I can't beat him. I have to just join him. And very nearly didn't take the shot. We will never know if he would have, if not for Taylor's intervention. But like, I think that's so telling in terms of, like, the effect that winning has on a player. If you can win, if you feel like if you can give off this perception that you are invincible, it almost doesn't even matter how charismatic you are. It doesn't matter how, like, anything else. People are forced to work with you. And when they're forced to work with you, that means that they are also forced to actively betray you and stab you in the back. There's a reason why competitors always push honor, integrity, truthfulness, because that benefits them. It benefits them and nobody else. Nobody that can't win the game, nobody that can't win competitions is able to be honest in the same way that somebody who can win competitions is. In order to survive a person like Tucker, you need to lie to him or just hand him the game. And lying is hard. It's harder than telling the truth. And so it puts everyone at a disadvantage. And anyone that's not capable of lying either gets evicted or just falls in line. And just like that, you have an army of minions. Add on top of that the fact that Tucker is charming and has an army of people that have crushes on him. And here we are.
Yeah, no, his crush army is very, very intense. I just feel like, it's a combination of him winning a lot, but also, like, having people who don't want him to leave. I think like there are the people who have crushes on him wouldn't want him to leave even if he wasn't winning competition. So I think it's like a combination of the two where it's like he's winning everything, but also we don't really want him to leave because he's hot or whatever. And they want, him to stick around because maybe they have a shot with him. I don't know. And so I think like if it was somebody who the people didn't like, who like wasn't charming, who, they weren't attracted to and was just winning everything, I think he'd have a lot harder of a time staying in and having this like little army be built so early. Like, I think it's a combination of everything with Tucker. Because I think it'd be a lot easier to kick him out if he didn't, or like to even discuss kicking him out if he didn't have a bunch of people lining up to keep him around. Yeah.
Melissa in the chat says this sounds like a cult, which is hilarious because it's like kind of like we're going to be sitting here in a few months talking about how Tucker won the season and everyone's going to have an interview. Why didn't y'all try to go after Tucker? They're like, I don't know. I just didn't even have the thought.
I didn't think of it. Yeah.
Because if they're at that point now where they think he is unevictable, then the moment, let's say someone does put him up actually, and AI Arena is still a thing. And then he happens to lose because they're expecting him to win, even if he, is on the block on eviction night and he goes to play. They're expecting him to win. If he loses, it's too late to have the thought to, oh, wait, now we have the chance. Like, this is our one opportunity. It's like the wheels have to be turning before that point. But it's just like, how can it when everyone's crushing? And we've heard how serious crushes are in this house.
Yeah, it is like, you need to mount some kind of revolution, but it is literally Big Brother, and there is a tyrant in control of everything. And if you get caught trying to start a revolution, you leave because they're winning. So you have to be so careful about it. And quite frankly, shouldn't really even do much. You just kind of have to wait for your own ability to have power to try to take your shot. And we also expect players to just like act rationally all the time, where it's like, well, obviously, if somebody's been immune for 5 out of 6 weeks, you need to take them out on the one time that they're not immune. But like, it doesn't really work like that. For 5 out of the 6 weeks, this has been a permanent fixture in the game that you have had to work with, made promises to, and like, in order to be convincing, because he studies body language and he'll tell if you're not, you have to kind of mean it. You do. You have to play that role for so long and then switch on a dime and get everyone on board and agree with you. It's so hard to do. It's so much harder. And we see over and over again, Big Brother Canada 11, Big Brother 25, Big Brother 24. It happens over and over again that these players that just keep winning comps, they're really hard to take out in those moments that you have them vulnerable. And so you see a player like Joseph who was thinking, I want to like use Tucker for what he's worth, but take a shot at him when I have the ability to. Now that Tucker's been immune for so long, he's kind of like, you know what? Whatever at this point. I'm just going to bring him to the end. And it's just small, irrational decisions like that add up to the small amount of opportunity that you have, that little spot on the Death Star. It's like, well, one of the pilots was like, the Death Star's fine. And just like that, it's over. That was your only hope. So that's how this can work sometimes.
Plus, you have Joseph saying that he thinks he could beat him in the end.
That's just rationalizing.
Obviously not true at this point. So yeah, that's not great.
The other wild part is like, to make a move like getting out Tucker would take someone with a personality like Tucker, because you have to be forceful enough, loud enough, convincing enough to like shake people out of this mindset that Tucker can't leave the house. Like when they get the opportunity, which can only be, him losing the AI Arena or like a double eviction or something. Like, it has to be in one of these, because one of these like quick decision episodes, because otherwise, like, he's going to charm them into keeping him. If, let's say, if he were on the block in a regular week with 2 people on the block, he doesn't win veto somehow. He's on the, like, I think in that situation, there's no way they're getting him out, because he has like 3 days to talk to them.
Yeah, and think about how much easier it is. Like T-Core, one of the reasons why T-Core was worried about flipping last week on Cedric was like, but what happens if Cam, Brooklyn, or Chelsie win the HOH? That's really bad for us. Well, there's only 3 of them. We just have to hope that we can beat them, right? Flipping against Tucker is a different story. Well, what if Tucker wins the HOH in 2 weeks after he wins the veto next week? He probably will. Like, we're screwed. Yeah. Like, it's so much harder. 3 people is less threatening than 1 guy because he just wins. And so it is so much harder to actively flip against him because you can't just roll the dice. You just have to assume that he's going to win. And so it is so unbelievably powerful to win competitions like this. It really breaks the game in so many ways. So that's kind of where we're at this point. How can they stop Tucker? I think is a good question.
Yeah.
Did y'all see that Joseph's friend was like tweeting texts between him and Joseph? And Joseph had said like, oh, when I get in there, I want to make an alliance called 4th Avenue. And the number is going to change based on the number of people that are there.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's so great. Yeah. His friends are doing a good job on Twitter.
All right. Well, I did poll the audience and I asked them to rank the players from their favorite to their least favorite. You want to take a guess who is in the top spot?
Is it T-Core again?
Okay, you're saying T-Core?
I guess. I mean, I wouldn't put T-Core up there, honestly. I feel like she's been a little wishy-washy for my taste. And I just don't feel like her and Kimo, I don't feel like they handled this whole week very well. I think that the flip was great, but then I feel like after that, it was kind of like, oh, what have we done? Instead of like actually like, okay, now we're going to like, move forward in this way. So don't love that. But yeah, I guess maybe
you could be right. I was only thinking like this. Yeah, because the only other name I was thinking was Tucker.
I thought Tucker last week, but apparently the RHAP audience is not a fan because last week
different page
was like a number 5 or 6 or something.
Yeah, I'll just say the same as you, T-Core.
Yeah.
Last week, Tucker was 4th.
Oh, well, it was lower the week before, right? Wasn't it that he was like slowly climbing?
The week before, he was 7th.
Yeah, okay. So he is climbing. I think he's probably higher now, but I don't think he's number 1. I mean, I thought he was number 1 last time, and I was totally wrong.
Well, last week, it was T-Core. This week, it is also T-Core. It's still T-Core.
The people love her.
It has been T-Core, I believe, since week 2. Week 1... Oh, this is actually funny. Week 1, number 1 favorite player on the board, Quinn. Number 2, Tucker.
Wow. The rivalry started early. We knew it was going to happen.
T-Core quickly rose to power, though. Week 2, T-Core took the top spot, and she has held that top spot since then. But who's number 2?
Could it be Kimo because of the flip?
Yeah,
I don't know.
The reasoning may, people may just, I could see him being like 3 or 4.
Yeah, maybe it is.
Okay,
Tucker.
I'm gonna say number 2 is Tucker.
Tucker is number 3.
Oh,
then who is in between? Maybe it's Kimo.
Okay,
number 2.
Wait. Okay, no, Taran's surprise face.
Taran's giving it away. Maybe Joseph? Or maybe Joseph's 4.
Can't be Joseph. It is definitely not Cam. Not Chelsie. It can't be Brooklyn. I'm thinking like process of elimination. But
I think it's
Rubina?
Oh, maybe Rubina. Maybe not. Well, I'm gonna pick Kimo. I'm just gonna say See the chat. No one in the chat has said Kimo. Like no one in the chat is even like. There's not even been a hint of like yes, Kimo. Like yeah, everyone is saying Angela, but I don't believe that. I don't. That's tough. I think. Okay, I think maybe I'll just say Joseph. Maybe I'll just go for it.
Melissa goes for Joseph. Aysha says it can't be Joseph. It is Joseph.
It can't be. Why?
Boom. Got it. Aysha totally wrong. Aysha
a meteoric rise for Joseph, who last week was like 9th, is now 2nd.
I need you to add a short answer box next to this.
Yeah, like I would like people to say you really should honestly be like just for their number one or whatever. It's like why did you pick them as the number one? Or like I don't know, maybe that's too much to sort through, but it would be very interesting.
That is so funny.
Like, because I would also like to know like what the logic is. Not like why Joseph? Because like I get it, I like Joseph, but I just mean anyone. Like it's always interesting to see someone like bounce way high up and it's like but why, like what was the reason there? And sometimes you can kind of get it because it's like oh they like made a flip or whatever, but like some people it's like it's hard to tell like what exactly made them jump up so much, like what was the thing that like made you love them? I don't know.
I think the audience is starved for like a strategic player.
I know it's so sad,
and the best they have is Joseph.
And then I also think like his friends on Twitter are helping because I feel like it's like it's showing that like with the text messages, it's like it's showing that like he like really does care about the show and is always thinking about it. And like, you know, you feel like and then he goes in and does the thing he says he was gonna do. Like, I don't know, it's very interesting to see like outsiders. And I saw somebody saying like somebody tweeted like Joseph's obviously doing something right because he has so many friends outside of the house that are like rallying behind him and like supporting him. And so like I feel like that's also like influential. It's like when you see a bunch of people like seemingly like cool normal people like outside of the house being like yeah this guy's really cool and I really like him and he's my really good friend, like you start to be like, oh, this guy is really cool and really normal and like he's a cool person. So it's like, you know, if you don't have anyone outside of the house like supporting you and like no one's saying anything and you're not seeing it, it's like, is this guy like a weirdo or like what's the deal here? So I could see it.
All right, who's last?
I feel like people
Angela.
I feel like even though people are saying that Brooklyn's a villain, like I feel like people are liking the fact that Brooklyn is a villain in that fun sort of villainy way, like a Disney sort of villain. So I could see like maybe Cam because he's boring, maybe MJ or Leah because they're frustrating right now. Yeah, I could see one of those three, but I don't know who.
Yeah, I was torn between Cam and Angela, but now I think about it, it's just like I could see Angela being towards the bottom, but not necessarily last. So I'll go with Cam.
I'll go with MJ.
There is a distinct bottom 4.
It's got to be Leah, Cam, MJ, and
I guess Brooklyn.
Yeah, maybe Brooklyn. Because maybe some people don't appreciate the villainy.
That is exactly it. It's in order of from highest to the bottom: Brooklyn, Leah, MJ, Cam.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, but to be fair, honestly, this is like a very this says good things about the season that like our bottom person, like the person we really like hate the most, is just boring. Like, it's not that they're like racist or problematic or horrible. Like, it's just, you know, he's not giving me anything.
Right. Yeah. Like, I have no feelings for him.
Yeah. So the list is T-Core. And I will say, from T-Core all the way down to like the bottom, like T-Core to that bottom 4, that list of people are all in very similar ranges. Like, it's not a big drop off. It is all very close. It goes T-Core, Joseph, Tucker, Kimo, Angela, Quinn, Rubina, Chelsie. Then drops off Brooklyn, Leah, MJ, Cam.
I'm kind of surprised Rubina's so low. I guess.
I feel like the whole like Tucker, Rubina, like her watching Leah and MJ with Tucker and then being like asking questions about like, oh, like what have they been doing with him? Like, I feel like that's kind of turning me off of her, honestly. And to be fair, like I absolutely get why she's feeling that way or asking those questions or whatever, because it's like her and Tucker like presumably have like a showmance going on, and then all of a sudden these two people are just like in the room with him all the time, and it's just like they're trying to like win his affections or whatever. And then he's also saying that Rubina is like a sister to him, which like I guess like if I was Rubina, I mean I don't know if she knows he said that, but like if I'm Rubina and I'm seeing him with like all these girls fawning over him, I'd be kind of like, okay, well I would be feeling a certain way. So I get it, but to me it's like very boring content. So I'm not a huge Rubina stan right now, just because I'm just like over that, like all of that, all the like romance of like everybody loving Tucker and then, people fighting for his affections. Like I'm just very over it. So I get it, but yeah.
Yeah, and again, for what it's worth, I mean, Quinn, Rubina, and Chelsie are all but tied. Then there's a tiny little jump, and Angela, Kimo are basically tied. And then, then Tucker just barely beats them. And then Joseph just barely beats Tucker, and then T-Core just barely beats Joseph. So it's all very close. All right. I also asked the audience to rate the episodes this week. Last week, the episodes were given a 6.0. Now, we can also compare to last season. Last season, week 5, the episodes were 5.7. This season, the episodes in week 5, a 7.1.
The episodes were really great. Like, yeah, they've done a really good job this week for the episodes. So I get it.
I mean, that Thursday episode was was just a really good episode of Big Brother. And so I think, in part due to the AI arena, we are getting better episodes this week at least. But what about feeds? Last week, the feeds were 6.3. This week, the feeds, a 7.2.
I disagree. I thought the feeds this week were not great, so I was not a fan. But
I mean, yesterday was very packed, so I think it helps to have a good day of feeds heading straight into the poll. Today has been considerably slower.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking for a full reenactment of Leah and MJ in the HOH room on tomorrow's update.
I can do that. Just let me just find the passage.
Oh no. Oh no. Please no.
Oh man.
I'm almost there. Just give me one.
Yeah,
I can totally.
We can wait. We can all wait.
We've got time.
Nothing
so
but
yeah. Compared to last season, the feeds were given a 7.1. So just beating out week 5 of Big Brother 25 in terms of feeds this week. I asked the audience to rate the season as a whole so far. Last week, it was a 7.0, which was slightly down from the week before, the 7.1, which had gone up from the 6.7 prior, and that had been down from the 7.9. So it went 7.9, 6.7, 7.1, 7.0, and this week, back up to a 7.5. So not quite the high of week 1, but the highest since week 1. 7.5 for the season.
Okay.
For what it's worth, compared to Big Brother 25, week 5, 7.3. And I believe this is the first time that Big Brother 26 has beaten Big Brother 25 in overall rating so far.
The people love a flip.
Yeah.
They do.
Flip it back this week.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the key though. Is you have to keep going back and forth, because otherwise it just turns into a steamroll and the people don't like the steamroll. So, you need back and forth flips.
We need no loyalty.
Yeah, we need to start saying that the season is very fluid. I feel like that's always what we say when it's like there's no alliances or whatever, or people go back and forth.
Yes. For what it's worth, this week was the week following Jag's eviction and put back into the game, and then he was back on the block again against Red. So this was kind of probably the low point of the BB25 pre-jury. So I also asked to rate Tucker's HOH reign. And we were Tucker's HOH reign. Quinn got a 3.9. Cedric had a 5.0. Chelsie had a 5.7. Angela had a 4.9. Tucker's HOH reign, a 6.5, the highest rating of the season by a decent margin.
Yeah, he got to do everything he wanted to do. He's literally had been talking about taking Quinn off the block and putting up Chelsie from the moment he got HOH. And so he literally, everything went to plan as far as his nominations.
Yes, there's also saying, by the way, the zombie week was pre-jury. I don't count it as pre-jury. BB25, once you get past where the jury would have started, basically, because the jury didn't actually start until like day 70. So listen, it's just easier to say. I guess first half would be fine. I should have said first half because day 44. But like, yeah, you know what I mean. I don't know, 6.5, the highest rating of the season. I guess that's not too unfair given that there hasn't been a great HOH reign so far. However, this is the same week that a guy won an HOH, then won a veto unnecessarily, and then used the veto on one of his targets to put somebody else on the block. But hey,
it's entertaining.
That's how much charm that he has. He literally blindsided Chelsie and put her on the block. And today she said that when he came out in the backyard afterwards and gave her a hug, all was forgiven. She just
that's on Chelsie. That's good on Chelsie.
True.
I asked the audience to rate the AI arena twist. And this has had a fairly steady kind of it started at a 4.7, then quickly bumped to a 6.2, then a 6, then a 5.8. This week, a 6.3. Again, the highest rating it has been by just a bit of a margin there, but still one of the highest rated twists I think we've ever seen. So well done to the AI arena. I also asked the audience, I want them to prejudge the AI instigator twist so that we can get a reading on it before they see it play out, and then we'll see what they think of it once we see it play out. Before they see it play out, they gave it a 3.8. Not very excited about the AI instigator. Personally, a good twist for me is one that stays out of the way of the game. So I'd personally rate it higher so far.
When does it start?
I guess next week. I guess the voting has been open all week, which, by the way, makes me think that there is a chance Tucker doesn't get this because the online audience will have much more of a say, given that it's been on all week long, and I've barely even noticed any like content in the episodes about it. But we'll see. And then finally, I asked, who do you want to be evicted this week? 62% of the audience said Cam. 30% of the audience says Brooklyn, and 8% of the audience says Chelsie. I was actually expecting a bit more of a lopsided vote here, but I think that there is also something to people just kind of wanting the storyline to have a conclusion, which would be like Brooklyn, the shot being landed on her. But I mean, apart from Cam being on my draft team, like it's hard to hard to argue with 62% of the audience.
Yeah, I do not want Brooklyn to go, or Chelsie, honestly. Like, Cam can go because I just, whatever. But I feel like if we lose Brooklyn or Chelsie right now, it's too early to lose them. I feel like they bring something else to the table. And I feel like if they're gone, then we don't really have like another side or whatever of the house. And it just, I don't know what then happens. So I hope they stay.
All right. Are we ready to rate the players?
Yes.
Okay. So, of course, this is the portion of the podcast where we rate the players from 1 to 10 based on how well we think they are doing in the game. The criteria can be really anything you want. I tried to go by some variation of long-term potential, essentially long-term prospects, short-term safety, and what were their choices this week? How are they playing? Do they plan on taking people to the final two that they shouldn't? That's going to impact my rating as well. So we'll rate the players, and then, of course, you at home have an option to give your input as well. And I will also be giving the audience ratings for each of these players. And I liked how we did it last time, where we just kind of like opened up the discussion, and we'll just kind of give our numbers as we feel. So let's open up with Angela, who I can tell you has had poor ratings all season long. Last week, 3s and 4s. She managed the 4, which is the highest rating she has achieved so far this season. Can she go up to a 5, I guess is the question. Her position is probably the best it's been. She's not making any like super active mistakes or anything at this point. And like, who's actually targeting? A lot of people are saying they're going to target Angela, but nobody actually wants to. So where do we stand on Angela?
I think this is the perfect spot for her because we've seen her with power when she actually had power to make the decisions. And that was, that Angela. But this Angela is twerking in the kitchen. Like she's having the time of her life and no one is looking at her at the top of their list right now. And if she's able to operate in that area and then be able to make a claim at the end, like, I had to do that because you saw the beginning of the game. I had to adjust and adapt to this house so that I was not seen as a threat. I think she can really make a case for herself because, like, when I'm thinking of this, I'm thinking like win equity, and so I think like for me, I think she's in a slightly better position than last week.
I'm just imagining her final 2 speech, saying I had to be
the bad guy. That's exactly what came to my mind when Aysha said that. When I had to do this, I was like, I had to be the bad guy. It's just so good.
I mean, when I heard her speech on eviction night the first time, when she then also gave another speech after Lisa left, where like I was like, this, I'm just waiting for her to give this speech in the final 2 chairs, like, and it's just like, yes, she's in a better spot. Can she win this game right now? No. That is my thought.
Right now.
Yeah. Doesn't mean it can't change.
If she's able to, I think even if she's able to maintain exactly where she's at, it's possible. Like I don't think that she needs to have any more agency in the game than she has right now, because that's when people will start to be like, oh my gosh, we just let Angela slide through. Like, I don't know.
I think right now people see her as like, well, at this point, we all kind of assume Angela's making it really deep in the game because nobody's going to bother taking her out. And I think that's the perception that she will need to change if she wants to win, or just hope she gets really lucky and somebody really detestable takes her to the final 2.
Yeah.
I also think it's really good for her that Tucker, I mean, who knows how like truthful this is, but when he said like, if you're targeting Angela, like you're targeting me or whatever, like said something like that, I feel like that's very good for her position, is like to have kind of been taken under Tucker's wing a little bit. I think Tucker would keep her around as a number, as someone who's loyal to him. He like, saved her that week. And so I think she feels loyalty to him and he knows that. So like, I think that's a great spot for her. And the fact that she's kind of been brought into these additional alliances, like that's really good for her. I mean, it's much better than last week. So I think, I think I'd be willing to bring her up to a 5. Honestly, I would give her a 5 because I think that like her game can really go anywhere from here. And I think this was a good week for her.
Yeah, I'm also giving her a 5 because I just feel like right now it could go either way. Right. Like I totally see what you're saying, Taran, and I could totally see it being a situation where people recognize, like it could even be the jury talking about, wow, y'all remember Angela at the beginning of the game and she's still in there. No one's targeting her. It could even be the jury's perception of her changing and her not even having to make a solid case for them to say maybe she should be the one. So I don't know. I really could see it go either way. So yeah, I'm at a 5 too.
Well, the audience agrees with the two of you. They also gave Angela a 5. I will disagree, though. I am a bit lower on Angela. I went up from my 3 last week. I think a 4 feels right for Angela. It's what I tend to give players in this spot who are essentially very safe, but only because nobody really thinks of them as a threat, and that's because they tend to not actually be a threat. Now, this could change. She could get into the neutral or positives for me if it starts to feel like it is possible for her to win the game. But for now, I think a 4 is where I would personally cap out. But that does mean that overall,
wow, a 5.
5 for Angela. She's hit it. She's hit neutral. All right, let's move on then to Brooklyn, who is theoretically the main target this week. But that is not quite guaranteed. I'm a bit mixed on Brooklyn because on one hand, she's the main target, probably the most likely person to leave. On the other hand, there is a chance that she survives, either by winning the AI arena or by the vote flipping, and Cam leaving instead or something along those lines. But then on the other hand, again, she kind of put herself in this spot. You compare her to Chelsie, who handled this situation much better. Brooklyn really failed this test and really put herself in a worse spot than she needed to be in. And so you can definitely place some blame on her for the position she's in. But then on the other hand, again, I thought she did a really good job with T-Core and getting T-Core to get into a position where T-Core might actually stick her neck out to flip and save Brooklyn, which she shouldn't really do. And so it's a bit of a back and forth for me. I don't know where I stand. What about you guys?
Yeah, she's yes, obviously she did not handle this the best or even good. She handled it, pretty badly. But it at least showed some passion in the game from a viewer perspective, like if we're comparing her and Cam. However, I think what it has done is really made Tucker be her arch nemesis, right? Like that's how she's seeing him. And so even though I see, even though she's doing a good job with T-Core, it's like, yeah, but you got to understand this army behind Tucker at the moment. And then pick a lane, because when she was having the argument with Tucker yesterday and then also saying, oh no, what? I didn't do the close. Girl, you've already told people the truth at this point. So like, don't give one unnecessary reason to say that you're continuing to lie, because that just seems like a worthless lie at this point. So I don't know. I just have I just have trouble seeing her, survive this week, go back on the block in a week or two and handle it better. Like, I think she's kind of showed like this is going to be her reaction if she doesn't expect it. And so I think it's just like at that point, people are gonna be like, well, we might as well get her out now, because this is going to be the reaction regardless. So yeah, I don't know. It's just, I mean, obviously we know that this stock is crashing this week. It's just, even if, I don't know if it, obviously it helps her case to win an AI arena and last longer, obviously. But I just don't know where she goes from here, even if T-Core sticks her neck out for her.
Yeah, that's my problem, is that like, I agree. It's like, even if she does, I guess if T-Core and Kimo flipped the house to keep her, that definitely opens the game up. But I'm not convinced they're going to do that at this point. I don't think it's as close as they were to flipping to save Rubina. So yeah, it's a bit tougher, I think.
Yeah, and I think the way that she handled this week was not great. Like, I think it was, and I get why she was like, when people all flip on you and don't tell you what's going on and you're left out of something, like obviously like a reaction, it makes sense to react in like a upset or angry or frustrated way or whatever. I totally get it. But like, in terms of the game, like the way it was handled, like she could have done a little better in terms of being like, oh, I'm not mad. I just was like left out. What happened? Like I would have voted with you guys, anything like that sort of stuff. Like it goes a long way versus kind of like, okay, so I guess you guys left me out. Like it wasn't handled the best. And I'm concerned for like future situations with her. Like it seems like this is kind of the way that she would handle everything. It's like Mari said on the roundtable last week about like how is she going to handle adversity or whatever, and we were all like, oh yeah, whatever, and we didn't realize it was literally going to happen like that week. So yeah, I mean, it's not great. I think like there's a chance that she stays this week, and I don't think she's like a bad player by any means. I just think this week wasn't handled so great. For me, I think I would give her a 3. Because I do think there's a good chance she goes home. And even if she doesn't go home, like, I mean, she's been found out basically, like that she's like the quote unquote mastermind or whatever of the other side. And, that people aren't going to let that go. They're not just going to be like, oh, okay, I guess she's fine now. I think, I think it's concerning for her, moving forward in the game.
Yeah. I mean, she's really showing us like how, I guess not necessarily what she's capable of, but I'm specifically thinking of like the conversation she had with Angela yesterday or today. The days run together, where she's like, Angela is telling her, I really thought you wanted to be the only mother in this house. And she just has no reaction to that. It's just like, I just don't see her taking control of her game and really putting in work to try to shift anybody's mind on her at the moment. I feel like they would just have to want to keep her as opposed to the work that she put in, because she has to put it in with these people that she doesn't too much care for. And I don't see her swallowing her pride and doing that with the people like Angela, the people like Tucker. So I'm gonna have to give her a 2.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with Aysha on this one, but the audience agrees with Melissa. They gave her a 3.
Oh, we're split.
As they're wont to do. They do
Melissa,
agree with
the voice of the people.
I mean, look, the chat was like, oh, this Melissa, that's the wrong thing. I'm just saying what the people think. That's all I'm saying. It comes through me.
Listen, Melissa, you know the people more than the chat knows the people.
It's so true. Yeah. I know the people more than
who are
the
these
people know the people. Sorry, chat. You're wrong. I'm so sorry.
All right. Well, let's talk about Cam because he's not really doing much. I mean, quite honestly, I think he's not super likely to leave. I think he's probably the most likely person to win the AI arena competition to begin with. I think that Chelsie is probably the second most likely person to win. And I think in both cases, Cam survives. And if Cam survives, it's not like he's being immediately targeted after that either. But like, what are his long-term prospects right now? I think they are, for better or worse, because this is how Big Brother works, better than Angela's. Because he's, if Tucker does leave, Cam probably just starts winging all the comps. And that alone gets him enough respect to probably win the game. But he's not doing much to help himself. I think also, by the way, tying in Brooklyn's rating with Cam's rating and with Chelsea's rating, their utter failure in the vote flip last week to prevent it when they really should have. They had all the opportunity in the world to prevent it. And so, I mean, I don't have a lot to say about Cam. I'm just going to give him a 3.
Yeah, I would give him a 3 as well. It's just, I just don't know, like, if he has what it takes to like actually play the game. I just haven't seen it yet. So to me, even if he stays, like, okay, then for what? Like, then what's he gonna do? So I don't know. I don't really see a situation where he like all of a sudden he's just like, oh, I'm in it. I gotta win this, whatever. So yeah, he's a 3 for me right now.
Yeah. I mean, like, we know he's not the most exciting player. He is the least exciting player in the house. But I feel that, people can be not that exciting in the house. Xavier, right? But still be in a great position, still be on a path to eventually win. But when you think about Cam, there's just like, he's just hanging out. He's just chilling, talking to Chelsie apparently about this mutual crush they have going on and wanting to explore it outside of the house potentially. It's just like, y'all are both on the block. Like there's other things you could be focused on. And it seems like Cam's strongest lifeline right now is working with Tucker, the man who put him on the block. So it's just kind of like, I don't know. I feel like Tucker and Quinn have more going for them than Tucker and Cam. So yeah, it's really hard to see a path for Cam if he's not just brought into it. Because I know we're talking on the live feed updates and, you know, like on the roundtables of just how Cam was in a prime position that everyone wanted to pick him up, right? He was in this great position because people wanted to bring him in. But now he's in this position where, like, now that he's been left out, it's like, oh, now we're really getting to see what position Cam is in, because he's not really doing anything. So yeah, I think a 3 is solid for him, whether he, you know, survives this week or not. I could very well see him being a 3 next week.
Yeah. Well, the audience agrees with us. Straight 3s for Cam. Almost the same exact rating from the audience as Brooklyn. Let's talk about Chelsie then, because very clearly Chelsie is performing the best on the block, but that does not mean that she's like lock safe by any means. Her versus Cam is still a very dangerous position for her to be. She has still significantly declined in her positioning in the game, her relationships, particularly the ones with MJ and Leah, that she just completely neglected all week long last week, leading to the flip that ended up happening that she absolutely could have prevented. She has since then been doing some good recovery work. She may survive through it, but oof, what a fall from grace for Chelsie.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I feel like it's not good for Chelsie. I mean, it's not good for any of the people that are on the block, but, you know, I think it's also disappointing just because I mean, look at the ratings from last week. It was 7s for both Brooklyn and Chelsie, and now it's just like I can't even imagine giving them a 7 right now. So yeah, it's not great.
I mean, I remember saying last week, like, I expect both Brooklyn and Chelsie to go down in the ratings unless they change their course. And my major concern was, what in the world are they doing neglecting MJ? Chelsie and Brooklyn talking about how, you know, and the thing that kept Chelsie at a 7 for me was that Chelsie was talking about, oh, we should probably evict Rubina. And I was like over MJ. And I was like, oh, thank God she finally realized. But then she didn't do anything with it, continued to neglect MJ herself. And by the end of the week, her even thinking that was harmful to her agenda. And it was such a quick fall from grace. And it was such an example of what we had talked about for weeks when we were talking about Brooklyn and MJ and Brooklyn and Chelsea's positioning in the game and how they were in the best spot week 3, week 4, but not necessarily because of their own active work, but just because they ended up in that spot. And that we were concerned that their lack of activity would mean that they could quickly leave that spot. And here we are exactly in that position.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would give Chelsie a 3 as well. I think like everyone on the block is a 3 right now for me. So
yeah, I'm a little bit higher on Chelsie. I'm going to give her a 4 only because I feel like she is at least using this time to realize, like, okay, she is playing the game a little bit, or she's having more conversations than when she wasn't on the block. And she realizes, now I'm in this position, I need to at least converse with the people that are going to be voting this week. And so I think it may have like she may be slightly more awake than she was last week. And of the 3 on the block, I feel like she is performing the best and reacting to this the best. And she's been on the block in the shorter amount of time. So I don't know. I just think that, yes, there is a chance that she could end up leaving this week, but I do think that it's salvageable. And it's funny, it keeps going back to T-Core. The fact that T-Core wants her to stay, I think, that helps her because she is maintaining that relationship when she could have easily been like, you could have told me. And she could have reacted like Brooklyn. Like if she were Brooklyn, she would be so mad at T-Core if they had that same conversation right before the vote. So yeah, I'll do my 4.
Yeah, I mean, I think I will give her the 4, but only barely. Only because she, in comparison to Cam and Brooklyn, is doing so much better. But if they weren't doing that much worse, I'd probably be giving her a 3. It's just mostly just she's being graded on a little bit of a curve right now. So the audience though agrees. They gave Chelsie a 4. All right, let's move on to Joseph, who continues every single week. I think this is the week I'm going to be, because I feel like I'm higher on Joseph the most. I feel like all the way back to when he was preaching about the collective, I was like, I know everyone's dunking on him for saying he's the star of the show, but he's actually setting up the collective. So like, he's actually doing things. He's actually making things happen. And then he will say things like, I'm the star of the show and I'm the leader of the collective. And I'm like, ooh. And then people will talk about him. They'll be like, we don't trust Joseph. He's kind of sketchy. And I'm like, oh. And so, you know, I felt like the flip was not in his interests, but he made the best of it and got into the 6th Avenue Alliance, locked in with Tucker. And I feel like he is the person who is playing the most strategically. The problem is pretty much everyone knows that, including his final 2 with Tucker. And that's a bit of a problem. And the fact that he's actively admitting that he wants to be loyal to it is a huge problem in terms of his judgment. And the fact that his allies are all saying, the allies that he says he trusts, by the way, are all saying we don't really trust him, is rough. It's rough. And I think his long-term prospects are shaky. However, his short-term positioning is pretty good. I do think that he is in a little bit of a tricky spot because if, say, like Chelsie or Cam won in HOH, he's been working on Cam, so he's working on that weakness, but he could easily be like a victim of Tucker's safe, let's go after Joseph. But I think luckily for him, I think Quinn is even more expendable there. So I think that I continue to go back and forth on Joseph. Melissa, you were saying you felt like people were sleeping on Joseph. How do you feel about Joseph this week?
I mean, I think people are still sleeping on him, but I think also like we haven't fully seen Joseph yet. Like I do think it's one of those things where we're just gonna each week, like he's gonna creep up and up and up, and then eventually we're like, okay, he's got this. He's he's got the moves or the strategy or whatever, and like he's in a good position, et cetera, et cetera. But I think like we've got our focus on everybody else right now because he's not, as much as he's saying he's the main character or whatever, he's not. And so I do think that like he's slowly kind of creeping up there. So, I mean, and I was impressed with this whole thing about, I saw, Leah holding the hand of Kimo or whatever. And, I knew that the flip was going through. Like, he seems to be observant. And I think that is crucial moving forward in the game. And the fact that he and Tucker have a good relationship, like right now, like, you have to have a good relationship with Tucker because Tucker is winning everything. So, that's important. And I know it's like, okay, well, maybe they'll put him on the block with Tucker. And then when they can't get Tucker out, they'll get Joseph out to cut Tucker's legs off or whatever. But like, I don't really know if I see that happening right now. So I just realized like that's a future problem. So, for me, I would give Joseph probably a 6 this week. I think it's just going to increase. I really do.
Yeah. Taran might disagree.
Taran's going to say something else.
Well, here's the thing. I think I agree with you on the Joseph 6. But I don't agree that I think it's going to increase. I think that like what the 6 is not for his positioning because his positioning is not very good right now. The 6 is more so for being, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, the most strategic player in the game at the moment.
Yeah.
And having like the most pull over Tucker and seemingly having Tucker's loyalty. I think that all of those things were very promising. But in the same week, he's also exhibiting some very poor judgment. And his positioning is showing a lot of weakness, which is why I didn't think this flip was good for Joseph, because his position in the 6th Avenue is very weak. He only has Tucker He has nobody else. Not Angela, not Rubina, certainly not Rubina, not T-Core, not Kimo. He kind of has Quinn, but he also kind of got caught ratting Quinn's final 2 with Brooklyn out to Tucker. And I'm not sure how much Quinn, fully knows about that yet. But like, that's a little dangerous. So he does have outs, and I think I probably trust him more than anyone else to use the options available to him to better his position. But he's also constantly shooting himself in the foot with the way he talks about the game, the way he talks to people, the way he was so concerned about people calling him a scared player that he then went around the house talking to everyone, boasting about how not scared he is as a player, like they care. And so I don't know. I feel like this is a tenuous position, and I feel like it could really come crumbling down very quickly for Joseph because he does not do enough work on his social relationships. But there's also a path for him. So he's tentatively a 6 for me right now.
Yeah, I came into this knowing that the highest thing I was going to give out today was a 6. I with Joseph, I kind of been back and forth between a 5 and a 6. But yeah, if you think of it in comparison to everyone else on the cast,
it's another curve.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, yeah, if Joseph was on last season, his 6 would probably be like a 4. But it's like, okay, with this group of people, I think where Joseph is positioned right now, and considering his proximity to Tucker, who doesn't stand a chance to lose in anytime soon, I think he's in an okay position. I do think his social game will be his downfall, and I could see him just like maxing out at a 6. I agree with you, Taran, that I don't think he's on an upward trajectory. I just think like right now he's good, but like things can crash and burn, especially since he's like one of the last 3 not to go on the block. Very easy reason to put someone on the block at this point. But yeah, I'll go ahead and give him a 6 this week.
All right. Well, the audience agrees. They also gave him a 6. It's going to be straight 6s for Joseph. There we go. The highest rating Joseph has received all season long. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. Melissa thinks it's going up. I think it's at best staying the same next week. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right, let's talk about Kimo. Last week I gave Kimo a 4. I was very disappointed in the lack of urgency when it came to preventing Rubina from being up on the block, and I still feel that way. I think that their games, him and T-Core, would be in a much better position if they had just talked to Quinn, and this is the final time I'll talk about this. They had just talked to Quinn and prevented Rubina from going up on the block in the first place. They'd be in a much better position. That said, they did make the flip that they did need to make, I think. And I do feel like they are now in a better position for it. They could be in a much better position. They're in a better position than I projected last week, which is that I thought that they might be losing Rubina. And so this is good. I think that they have some options now, and they it's almost like, again, I called them procrastinators, and so for me, it's like watching T-Core and Kimo. It's like they were running out of time. They didn't turn in their project on the due date. Now the best they can do is get like a C. But then they, at the last minute, they turned it in and they got their C. And so now they're not failing anymore because they got that C in. But there's more projects that it will be due eventually. So this is a stopgap solution. It's a short-term solution. But for now, they're okay. They have options. They're decently safe. And I feel like socially, they do remain in this very central spot. And so for that reason, I'm also going to give Kimo a 6.
Yeah, it's tough because I feel like I liked that they did the flip, but I don't feel like they handled the aftermath all that great. I feel like there were situations like, for example, with MJ or with Quinn or whatever, where they could have like brought them in or like reassured them. And instead they kind of just like left them out there instead of like having a plan. I feel like it didn't totally affect them, mainly because Tucker won the HOH and then like, they ended up in a good a decent spot with the new alliances, et cetera, et cetera. But like, I do feel like if anyone else had, I mean, if Brooklyn or Chelsie or Cam or Quinn had won HOH, like, I feel like they would have been in a not great position because they didn't take the time to reassure them and say like, yeah, like we're still with you. We just had to make this choice, whatever. Like they could have said anything. And, you know, I think that the people who were on the wrong side of the vote were like hoping for some sort of like hand held, like a outstretched hand or whatever to grab onto, and they really just weren't getting it. So I just don't know how I feel about them moving forward. I'm like between a 5 and a 6, honestly, for Kimo, just because I'm like, I wish that they had handled it better. I don't know. Let me think about it, I guess.
Aysha.
Well, I feel
also trying to, I'll give you, you both seem to want it. I'll give you the audience score, which was a 5.
Okay.
That's where I'm at. I feel like a 5 is solid. Because I was really worried about Kimo and T-Core being able to separate themselves, differentiate themselves from each other without people saying both of their names all the time, right? But I feel like this week, Kimo has just been, I don't know, just where is Kimo in the house? I just feel like people are speaking more about T-Core individually than Kimo. And that could just be just from my perspective. Maybe people still are grouping them together, but I really worry about Kimo's position in this game without T-Core as like the guiding light. So for me, even with that big move, I think without that big move, I might be a little bit lower, but even with the big move, I think a 5 is a safe space.
Yeah. All right. I'll stick with 5.
Okay.
Wow, another 5.
5.
Just to hear that.
All right,
like I think it in my head too. Whenever like we have a bunch of 5s going on, it's like, wow, another 5. I just like it's ingrained now.
Let's then move on to Leah. I'll also just drop Leah's audience score early here, which is a 4. Last week she had 3s across the board. I do think I can agree with the audience that I think her positioning is a bit better than it was last week. Little bit less of a target, little bit less likely to. She's kind of survived the Quinn stuff, the Quinn outing. And she's gotten a bit closer to Tucker. And there are just in general fewer people that will be actively targeting her. Does that mean she's improved her gameplay? Does it mean she's improved her like win equity? Like, but it's, you know, for me it's Angela level. I'd agree with the 4.
I also think she did a good job in the aftermath of the flip. Like, first of all, she was on the right side of the vote. And then I also think like her going and talking with T-Core and Kimo and Tucker and being like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. Da da da. I'm with you guys. Blah blah blah. Like, I think that was really well done from her. So yeah, I'm willing to go up to a 4 too.
All right.
Yeah, Leah is. I don't know what she's doing. I don't know what she's doing in this house. I think it's just, yeah, she just came to chat away. She is yapping her way through the Big Brother game. I just don't think that there's like a clear path for her in any direction, but it's also like who wants to target her at this point, which I guess is kind of similar to the view of Angela, but at least Angela, like, she's done some things so far. Like, she has a reason to kind of back off. Leah is like, when are you gonna kind of like start playing? Maybe not. Maybe you don't need to. I don't know. But it's still not. She's still not in a awful position. Like, she's not a 1 or a 2 because she's probably making jury, or she's making jury most likely. And I could see her being in that house for a while because why not? But I agree. I do think a 4 is accurate.
All right. Let's talk about MJ then. And you know, MJ survived the week. But what is she doing?
So bad.
She like when I picked MJ for my draft, it was purely on comps. And so far, that's literally the bare minimum that she's given me. She's survived 2 evictions because she won 2 comps.
I just feel like she doesn't know like what's going on. Like, I mean, she was on the right side of the vote, and then it's just like nothing. I don't know. She's just not. I just don't think she knows what's going on or like can figure it out. I don't know.
I think you got to reevaluate yourself if you've gotten to the point of comparing your faith in the house to someone else's faith, because like Chelsie said, she's going to lie. I just knew she was going to lie. When she said you had to do some things as a Christian, she said she's going to lie. I'm not going to do that. Like, you're comparing how much of a Christian you are to each other. What are we doing now, MJ? Ugh. Really? Like, that's what we've resulted to. Like, there's nothing else that you can't think about the fact that other people have established stronger relationships. There are alliances that you're not a part of. People are making strategic moves that you have no idea what's going on. You're just there, right? So,
and she thinks she's like closest to Tucker, or like that.
Yes.
That's so bizarre to me. Like, how could you think that? I don't know.
Like she still, I think, feels like she's the main character of the house.
Yeah.
She still hasn't accepted that she's just like totally not in it. But yeah, I gave her. It's better than last week. She's not about to be evicted. Without a split second win. But
I also think she's a 3. Yeah,
3s across the board. Let's see if the audience agrees.
The audience does agree. They gave her a 3 as well. Okay, let's talk about Quinn. He's alive.
Yeah,
he is alive, and he has not come up that much on this podcast.
Yeah,
shockingly.
Largely irrelevant to the gameplay at the moment. I don't know how long that will last. I think that socially he's been cut off at the knees, and it will be very difficult for him to make any headway. Because he's just been outed so many times. It's just tough to get back in there. It's kind of like what happened to Cirie. Except Cirie did manage to get her tendrils back in a little bit because it's Cirie. But, Quinn is not Cirie. And so can he find any traction here? I think the only traction he has left is just a tiny bit with Tikor and Kimo, but barely any left. He has a tiny bit with Rubina, and he has a tiny bit with Joseph. And, like, that's pretty much it. Tucker still wants nothing to do with him. Angela's fully in with Tucker. MJ and Leah want nothing to do with him. The Pentagon remnants want nothing to do with him. His only shot right now is either some sort of like masterful, social comeback, or as I mentioned comms, some kind of like Dan Giesling-esque recovery, or he just needs to win some comms, which is not impossible.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's crucial that he wins some comps, because I think that's the only way that he can like gain favor or like get in with anyone at this point. Like, I just think, he needs to get some power and use it well, to get people back on his side, because otherwise it's just, he either gets nominated and can save himself, or he gets nominated and goes home. Like, there's no real, like, I don't feel like people care enough to keep him around. And, I just have to say, I'm so glad that Tucker took him off the block this week, because I really didn't want him to go home. I just really like, I'm interested in his storyline, and I really want him to stick around. And I do hope he can kind of like find his footing again. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go moving forward, but at least he's safe for the week. So I guess that's good.
I think he needs to realize his game is not over. Like, the contrast we've seen between that, maybe not even the showman, but the Quinn that was for the cameras, the Quinn that was for all of like the quirky bits, right? That was playing to us, right? That Quinn is completely different than the Quinn that we're seeing now, who we're saying is like irrelevant to the game this week. This is a sad Quinn, right? We've been asking for vulnerability, but this is kind of like I'm like
too much
defeat. Yeah, he went too far. he's a little bit defeated, which, Yeah, obviously that's a natural reaction after you just had a horrific HOH reign, and then you get second in the wall comp, like so close. But I think Quinn just needs a reset. I think Quinn needs to just, okay, that week happened, this week happened. Let me reset, get myself together, and realize my game is not over. I can take control of my own game at least and figure out where to go from here, because I think he's just so defeated right now that he can't. It's all I bet you Quinn doesn't see a path past a week from now. It's kind of just like, well, Tucker is the king of this house and I just have to see where I fit in. But it's like it's way too early to think like that.
Well, to be fair, I don't think he has a path right now. I think his path is survive and wait for a path to open up, right? And I think that because he knows the game and he still has, like, there's a reason why he had all those final twos at one point. Like, he still has some credibility. If Quinn makes it to the end of the game, unlike some of these other players that were rating low, he can still win. Quinn is the guy that if he makes it to the final two, everyone goes, how in the world did we let that happen? And so he does still have that equity while still not being seen as a threat right now. And so I think that is his current strength. The problem is there's a lot of ways you can get sideswiped in this game with AI Arena. And so, he's such an easy nomination from so many different sides that he could easily fall victim to that. For me, it's between a 3 and a 4. And for me, I think he's less safe than some of the other 3s and 4s, but has more potential ability to come back and get some win equity. And so for me, I think I go 4, but
I'm going to stick with a 3, mainly because this past week went so wrong for him. And I feel like, I guess I'm saying this past week, but it still was this week of ratings. So, I do feel like it just went so poorly for him. And it was just by like Tucker wanting to like stir things up or whatever that he got saved. So, yes, he did get saved, but it wasn't like, oh, I want to save Quinn because I want to work with him. It was like, I'm going to save him because it's like fun and exciting drama. And then I'm going to put, Chelsie on the block. So I don't know where he goes from here. So for me, it's a 3 for now, but like there's total potential for it to go up next week.
Yeah, because you would think someone who was on the block and then not on the block and now they're safe, that they would be in a better position. But it's like, no, like literally Tucker said, just don't tell anybody and then we'll be fine. I'll save you. He tells somebody. Tucker's like, well, okay, I don't care. I still want to do this anyway. So it's like, not Quinn. Nothing that Quinn did is the reason that he's not on the block anymore. So then, but the positive side is if the most powerful guy in the house right now thinks that you aren't worth getting out, even though they know, like Tucker knows that Quinn most likely would put him up, he still thinks like, well, no, I'll just beat him in everything that I can, then I'll be fine. Maybe that helps with the perception in the house, whether that's like the real or like the reality or not, that Quinn is just gonna lose. That's not necessarily the truth. He could win again. So yeah, I'm going back and forth, 23 and a 4. I'm just gonna I'll do a 4.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, I think it's a mistake for Tucker to target Chelsie or Brooklyn over Cam or Quinn. And I think that like even Cam, you can see a world where maybe Cam doesn't target Tucker. But I think Quinn will be targeting Tucker. And I think that Quinn right now is one of Tucker's biggest competition threats. And that's literally all Tucker's game. So like, he really, I think he should really have considered taking Quinn out this week, and he didn't. And that's largely because of Quinn's remaining social connections helping vouch for him. So I will give him that credit. The audience agrees with Aysha and I. They gave him a 4. Okay. Rubina. 3 people left. Rubina is one of them. Rubina's kind of tough. Last week, she had 2s and 3s. It was really looking not good for her. The house flips. She's in a better position now. But where do we go from here?
Yeah, that's a great question. I do think Rubina is one of these people that once they finally land and move on Tucker and get him out of this house, she will be perfectly fine. I think right now, the fact that it's beyond a crush. Yeah, she likes Tucker. The fact that she likes Tucker is kind of clouding her just like motives in the game and allowing her to focus on other relationships and really establish herself like with connections that she wants outside of Tucker. So I think right now, the fact that Tucker is in there makes her a non-threat because now, like, as we talked about earlier, there are other people that could be targeted instead of Tucker to weaken Tucker rather than Rubina, especially now they're trying to push home this like, oh no, nothing's going on. So yeah, it's hard because it's just like she's not in an awful position. She was very close to going home had T-Core and Kimo not done that. So yeah, what do you think, Melissa, about Rubina?
Yeah, I mean, I think she's better for me than last week because last week I thought she could possibly go home. So I would want to give her a higher rating than last week. But at the same time, like, I am worried about her. I feel like the Tucker situation is not great for her, mainly because so many other people are interested in Tucker. And I could see like a petty situation where people are like, well, let's get Rubina out because she's too connected to Tucker. And that leaves Tucker open for me, which like I don't love. But, you know, that's a possibility considering that everyone in the house is obsessed with him. At the same time, like, I do think there's a few things about the Tucker relationship as well, which is that like it's good for her because, you know, he's winning a lot. So if he keeps winning, you know, she would be in a good position because he could help her. But on the other hand, he keeps winning. And if people think that they're close, they could easily decide to take a shot at Rubina to get at Tucker. Although I do think that apparently the people in the house think that they're closer to Tucker than she is. So I mean, maybe nobody notices and doesn't think that like getting Rubina out is a hit at Tucker at all. I really don't know. For me, at least, like I think she's in a better spot than last week. So I'm going to give her a 4, but yeah, I mean, I don't really know. I don't know where she goes. So, you know, we'll see.
I mean, I think she's had like a good recovery from nearly being evicted. I think the house reset put her in a much better position. And while she's not being as active as I would like in like locking that position in, I do feel like she should be pretty good for a while. I do think that there are alternatives to targeting Tucker. Like the worry for being in a showmance with Tucker is that he wins veto or AI and you take the hit because they need to take the shot at Tucker, which is almost what happened to her last week.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I think there are some alternatives to that. There's MJ, there's Quinn, there's even Joseph. Like there's a lot of alternatives for Tucker, for anybody that decides to target him that aren't necessarily Rubina, because a lot of people do feel like they have her. You know, so I think her safety is pretty decent, and I think long term that can turn into something else. I think she has that likability factor that could turn into a win. It doesn't mean that she's in like the best spot in the world or that she's shown like a huge amount of like ambition in the game. But for me, I think it's more like a 5.
I was gonna say that too.
Oh,
now it seems like I'm copying you, but
that's why I interrupted you and went first.
Right? Yeah. I do think she deserves it. That's what I was so torn because it was like, yeah, she was a 3 last week, but she is in a better position with this house reset. And I don't think that she's in immediate danger. I think she's in a fine spot to go either way, depending on how she continues to play it. So I agree on a 5.
Well,
wow, another 5.
Right. Look at this board because it's the same thing as last as Quinn. The audience agrees with Aysha and I.
Wow, another 5.
Melissa,
The
voice
new
of the people,
voice of the people.
slipping.
I'm just gonna say, I've always said I'm the voice of the correct people. So I'm sorry that the people were wrong in these cases, but I'm just trying to be the voice of the correct people. And I cannot be, I can't just follow the crowd of the people. I need to follow the correct people. So just so you know.
It's so funny. Like, even though the ratings are so down, so many people are still moving up because things are shifting so much that I think a lot of people are making money this week. All right, let's talk about T-Core. I feel very similar about T-Core that I do about Kimo. So I'll straight up give them the same rating. But the way I feel about T-Core is that I feel less good about her strategically and like active gameplay wise than I do Kimo. She's always trying to get Kimo to do things for her, and I don't think she's doing that in a strategic way. I think she's doing that just because it's just kind of who she is. And not in a bad way, like necessarily, like in life, but in the game, you could be a little more active. But socially, I think she's a little more. She has connections more strongly than Kimo does. The people that she does have these connections with, I think value her a bit more than they do Kimo. So I think Kimo is a bit more strategically active, but T-Core is a bit more insulated socially. And so for me, they balance out, and I do still feel like they're in a decent spot together in the house right now, even though they are occasionally very frustrating.
Yeah, I feel similar as I did with Kimo. It was interesting that chat pointed out when we were talking about Kimo, we kept saying they because like we were basically referring to T-Core and Kimo at the same time.
It'd be hard to give them a different rating for me. I almost just said straight up.
I've already feel like I've discussed her. So yeah, I'm going to give her a 5. Same with Kimo. So yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, the only reason that I'm slightly higher on T-Core than Kimo is because now I've just started to hear more of just T-Core, it just feels like and someone in the chat pointed out like Kimo is on slop. So maybe that is why he's being less active. His energy is a little bit lower. T-Core is able to thrive a little bit more separate from him. But that's why we're rating on this week specifically. So yeah, I think T-Core is a 6 right now.
All right. Well, it's the exact same again. The audience agrees with Aysha.
I cannot be wrong. I mean, I have the correct people on my side. It's just, I'm sorry to tell you guys that, but everyone who voted that way is just incorrect. So that's all. I'm just a messenger,
Look at that board, just a straight line of 3 in a row where Melissa is the odd one out. I
know. I've only not had the same rating as the audience with Brooklyn.
Ooh, wow! Look at that.
All right, I guess you know what? That's Aysha's the voice of the incorrect people, and that is so fine for her. That is so okay. But I
love that for me.
Yeah, I love that for you, but I've just got the correct people on my side, and I really can't help it. I'm so sorry.
Melissa, the voice of the correct people. Aysha, the voice of the incorrect people. Well, let's see who's correct and incorrect on Tucker. Again, what a weird one to rate. I think that his HOH, from my perspective, is full of some boneheaded decisions. But I've also gotten to this point, and I've even said this on the updates, like, I've gotten to the point where I'm not really judging Tucker by his strategic decisions anymore. I'm mostly like, Tucker's game in my mind is how many people are willing to maybe not target him when he's vulnerable, how many competitions can he win, and how many competitors can he take out of the game. And in that sense, he's not taking enough competitors out of the game with what he wants to have happen, but it might still inadvertently happen. His position is certainly improved. I think that he definitely still has a chance to get down to the end. Do I think he's in as good a position as my 3-6s? No. I think that for me, he's more of a 5 right now, balanced on this edge of like, because quite frankly, it is like, can he make it through a few more weeks while this AI arena thing is going and then go on a comp run? Will the comps be runnable? Like, these are the questions right. Like, these are the questions I'm asking with Tucker. he's playing a completely different game than anyone else. And right now, it's a little too early to be a Tucker. In a couple weeks, this might start shooting up. But for now, I'd say a 5.
I'm going to give him a 6 because I just think there are so many people working for him. And I think that there are all these comps that he has the opportunity to win. And I think that, like, at this point, I don't know if he necessarily needs to, like, win out at this point because there are so many people that want to work with him. And he got what he wanted last week. He's getting what he wants this week. Like, I just feel like the people want to do his bidding. And I think, you know, that's a decent spot for him. So yeah, for me right now, he's a 6.
Yeah, I think the reason, because I did consider the 6, but for me, I think the reason I don't want to go 6 right now is 2 major things. One is that this week the house could flip on it. Like, literally, T-Core and Kimo still talking about, if it's Cam v Chelsie, we flip this on Cam, and then all of a sudden he's on the outs again. The house is flipped on him again. He still probably has some allies, but then he also can't win HOH and is likely going to just be. They're going to try to target him next week. A lot of people will try to target him next week. He'll probably survive, but, like, this is the most vulnerable position he will probably be in a while. So that held me back a little bit.
True. I mean, I think, like, he is in a vulnerable position. I just think, like, I do feel like he has a lot of allies who, like, want to keep him around. And even though, you know, he might not get exactly his way this week, he's not, like, losing a super close ally, like, no matter what happens. So I do feel like it doesn't quite matter necessarily that he doesn't get exactly his way this week, you know, and maybe he still gets his way. I don't know. But I do think that the fact that he has so many people that are on his side, and I mean, I don't know if the AI arena is ending this week. Do we know if it's still happening?
We don't.
Okay. Like, there's a possibility the AI arena is happening, and he has 2 competitions then that he can win, even if he gets put on the block, which, like, who knows if he gets put on the block? There's a lot of people there who wouldn't necessarily put him on the block. So yeah, I don't know. I do think that the fact that he's fairly well insulated at this point for someone who, you know, maybe shouldn't be so well insulated. That's why I give him a 6. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it. I agree. I don't think it matters who leaves. I don't think it's like, oh, he didn't get his way. That's not a bad thing. In fact, like I said, I think it's almost better for him if Cam leaves. It makes it easier to win comps, physical ones especially. What I think would be bad is if the house flips on him to make his choice leave, and then he blows up on the people that flipped on him, and he has no chance of winning the HOH to stop the momentum from turning. And now all of a sudden, everyone abandons ship because he's, you know, left on an island. And again, he probably just still wins again there, and then people come back to his island. But that's part of it for me. But I can tell you, the audience does agree with you on this one. They gave Tucker a 6. So,
welcome back, audience.
Well, listen, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The reason that I'm also going a 6 is because I feel like right now with AI Arena, the only way he goes home, like, so there's a string of things that have to happen. Someone who is not in Tucker's fan club has to win HOH. Okay, we got a few people there. Then Tucker has to actually be put up as one of the 3 nominees. Like, they have to be not afraid to do it, right? Then let's say they do it. Then he has to lose veto. Let's say he doesn't win veto. Then he has to lose the AI arena. Like, he just has so many things that have to go exactly in the way to get him out. And we just haven't seen the person who is going to give him a run for his money in any of these competitions. So it's just kind of like, who's going to stop Tucker while the AI arena exists?
Who knows? We'll have to see.
Tune in and see.
There we go. That is the Stockwatch for the week. We will see what that does to the leaderboard. Again, like I said, it turns out this was like a pretty big money-making week, even though the ratings remain fairly low. It was a bad week for me. I sold everything and just held because there was too up in the air for me. So I missed out on a lot of profit this week. But I think a lot of people made some money, I imagine.
I haven't even started. I feel like, I'm just too good at Stockwatch. So I just feel like it's not fair for me to, participate right now. So I'm doing everyone a favor, really.
Yes. Everyone moved up one spot because you're not participating.
Yeah.
You're so thoughtful.
I know. I do it for the people, really.
Well, I mean, really what happened is that they're ahead of one less person. So
I don't think that's true. I mean, like historically, I think we can all agree I'm very, very good. So like, I don't know where you're getting this information from, but yeah, I'm very, very good at this.
Oh boy. It's honestly, I get uncomfortable when I'm doing too well, so I prefer when I do poorly.
You're like, yes, I can finally talk about it.
You're like, rigged.
You're like, I actually don't know what I did this week. Anyway, next topic.
So that's it. That's the Stockwatch for the week. That's the week. Another interesting week. I think we potentially have another, again, like what will happen with this vote is going to be very interesting. What will happen in the following week? Will Tucker eventually be stopped? Who knows? Any final thoughts, Aysha?
Yeah, I'm enjoying the entertainment from this season. Like, I know that even if we only have Joseph as the most strategic right now, it's like, this just may not be the season for strategy. This may just be the season for entertainment, which they are giving. So I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the ride. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. And the fact that it's not predictable is great. And I wonder if it will continue to be that way if Tucker were to go home, like in the coming weeks. Like, is it going to continue to be just, a wild card? Or is he the one kind of like stirring up and bringing that energy, like, oh, we could go either way. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. I mean, I think the season, I think it's not great for the season if Tucker goes home. I think like he is providing a lot of like the chaos and entertainment. I think Angela is providing chaos and entertainment. Brooklyn is providing chaos and entertainment. I think we should be trying to keep these types of characters around for sure. And Quinn as well, honestly. Like, I feel like Quinn is providing a lot of entertainment. So I want those guys to all stay. So, let other people who are more boring leave. That's fine. But yeah, I think that this is like one of the first seasons, and like I hope it stays that way, but first season in a while where like I've actually been excited to watch the episodes. And I feel like normally I'm kind of like, okay, the feeds are really like what I'm interested in. Do not care really about the episodes, and it's kind of like a slog to get through. Like, I'm like, okay, I guess like I'm a few episodes behind. I need to catch up, whatever. This time I've been like really excited for the episodes and really excited to see what happens at the ceremonies and, and the votes. And like, even it was exciting to watch the live vote this past time when like normally I'm so beyond bored when we have to watch every single person go in and like vote for the same person. This time it was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know where the votes are going. I'm very excited to watch this. So, plus I think the editing has been really good this season so far. So, yeah, I mean, well, I think it certainly helps the episodes that the feeds are so like hard to watch, like that they're not fun for me. So I think it's I guess like good for them. I guess they've made me like the episodes more than the feeds because the feeds are bad. So like cool, but yeah, I don't love that, but at least the episodes are doing a good job. But yeah.
I think the episodes have genuinely just been a bit better. But I think that's mostly because of the live. I think the AI arena has helped with the episodes for sure. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that is what we have for you this week on the Roundtable podcast. I'll, of course, be back tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, to update you on everything that happened today and will happen tonight on the Big Brother 26 live feed. Stay tuned for that. Tomorrow night will be another episode. I'll be live on Twitch watching along with all of you, so stay tuned for that. And then, of course, afterward, here on the podcast, we'll recap it all. And in the meantime, check out the Tastemakers on RHAP. We know scripted TV. Some fun stuff going on over there. And that's about what we've got. Aysha, what are you up to?
Yeah, so y'all can give me a follow at Aysha like Asia on all social media. That's AYSHA like ASIA. I joined Chappelle and Mari over on Recap Kickback to talk about Divorce in the Black. It was a very interesting Tyler Perry movie. So if you, whether you watched or you didn't, you just want an entertaining podcast to listen to, we had a great time talking about it. And yeah, anything else I'm up to, you just give me a follow and you'll know.
All right. And of course, Melissa, you can find at It's Melissa. With Chris.
Yep.
Chris. Right. I was up there in the register. I didn't know how to come back down. Thank you all so much for joining us here tonight, and we will see all of you